Hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode 13. I'm Emily McDermott, and I am here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. I hope you enjoyed last week's conversation with Sarah from Simple Intentional. As I mentioned before, I'm planning to do interviews once a month so you can learn from other moms who have overcome overwhelm in their own lives. This is coming out on December 1st, which means that Christmas is coming soon. And with Christmas comes family and joy and celebration and stuff. A lot of stuff. In fact, when I get home from visiting family for Christmas with a trunk loaded with presents, I feel more overwhelmed than I do all year. Where is this stuff going to go anyway? If you are familiar with this feeling, this episode is for you. I'm going to give you my 4 best tips for limiting the stuff coming into your home after Christmas without feeling like a Grinch. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, these tips will apply to birthdays and any other gift-giving holiday that you celebrate. We want Christmas to be focused on giving and joy, not about feeling like we are drowning in stuff going into the new year. So, what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen, and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. Thank you to everyone who left a written review in Apple Podcasts last month. I am happy to announce the winner of the decluttering book, Allison Rothwell. Congratulations, Allison. I'll announce our next giveaway in January, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into these tips. I understand that everyone's situations are different, financially, relationally, and of course, how much is enough when it comes to what we own. So please feel free to take what works for you and leave the rest. Remember, it's all about what matters most to you. So let's dive into tip number 1. Limit the toys that your kids get from you. What do I mean by this? Well, first of all, I highly recommend only purchasing toys for your kids for their birthday and Christmas. That's generally what we do, although relatives may buy them something small for Easter, for example. We do not buy toys every time we go to Target, and we do not use toys as rewards. If you are doing this and want to stop, but don't want your kids whining and crying every time you go to the store, consider creating physical wish lists for your kids. The Notes app on your phone is fine, but a physical tactile one may be more meaningful depending on their age. Anytime you are out and they see something they want to get, tell them you'll put it on the list and then do it in front of them. Yes, it takes a few extra minutes, but they see that you care and are taking them seriously. We will get to what to do with these lists soon. Once you curb the influx of toys at other times of the year, you can then consider limiting the toys that come from you and your spouse for Christmas and birthdays. If you have generous relatives like I do, maybe only 1 or 2 presents can come from you, or even Santa for that matter, and the rest can come from the relatives. In my experience, kids don't care much who the gifts come from. So why do we feel like a certain number have to come from us or even from Santa? One side note about gifts coming from you. This can apply to gifts exchanged between adults as well. In my experience, adults get what they want when they want it. Thanks, Amazon. So it's very rare that they can even think of something that they want or need when Christmas rolls around. The adults in my family stopped exchanging gifts a while ago because it seemed more like a chore and obligation rather than a joyful exchange. Bring it up to some of your family members and see what they say. You may be surprised when they are relieved. Or if you're not willing to give up gift exchanges quite yet, do a white elephant exchange or just do an experience like going to the movies or a nice meal all together. Okay, back to our tips about toys. Tip number 2 is to observe how your kids are playing throughout the year and focus on open-ended toys that spark imagination. You know what your kids play with the most and can probably figure out why. Toys that encourage building, creativity, and imagination are always the ones they gravitate towards, not the toy that does one thing when you press a button. The toys that my boys love the most are Legos, Magnetiles, train tracks, Hot Wheels, and road mats that we make out of cardboard. Keep in mind what they play with and how they play, because this will help you select gifts that won't end up as clutter. That brings us to tip number 3. Make a list far in advance with input from kids if age appropriate, and make sure to include some experience gifts. So, following tips number 1 and 2, you will have a list from your kids, and you'll have a good understanding through observation how they actually play with their toys. So, review the list with them, if age appropriate, and talk to them about their choices. Before the list went out to my relatives, I asked my boys some questions like, is this similar to what you already have? Does it only do one thing and that's it? Where will we keep it? And for you to consider, is this a popular character that they may not like in a year's time? My boys asked for a 3-foot Batman cave once, even though they very rarely, if ever, paid attention to Batman. But I put it on their list anyway, and when they got it, they barely touched it because they said it was boring. So beware of the popular characters from their favorite shows, because if they're anything like my kids, they change what's their favorite every week. Also, focusing on non-material things or experiences is great. Memberships to the Children's Museum or the zoo, gymnastics classes, going out on a date with the kids to an indoor playground, or even contributing to your kiddo's 529 plan. Encourage your relatives as much as you can to focus on experiences, but understand that many of them, especially grandparents, from what I can tell, like to see the joy on the kids' faces when they open up a physical present. Because of this, you may want to have the relatives buying more of the physical stuff and the toys, and you can do more of the experiences. Once you have the list finalized, send it to your relatives as far in advance as possible. For Christmas, I'd recommend sending it as early as September or October. That way people have plenty of time to purchase things and are more likely to stick to your list. Moving right along to our last tip, tip number 4. Decide where the new toys on the list will go and declutter now to make room for them. In episode 6, we spoke about the container rule. So if you haven't listened to that, please do yourself a favor and do so. Because once we know the physical limits of where we are keeping toys, and we have a pretty good idea about what's coming in, we can make room for the new things by decluttering what our kids aren't playing with. Again, depending on age, ask your kids where the new toys are going to go. For example, I know that you really want that new Hot Wheels car wash, but I'm not sure where it's going to go. Maybe we can give away the Duplos you don't play with anymore to make room for it? At least with my boys, when they know they are making room for something they really want, they are more likely to part with things they no longer play with. Also, this is a perfect time to donate, especially to your local Buy Nothing group, or to sell on Facebook Marketplace, because not only are people looking for Christmas gifts, but many people are hosting for the holidays and would like some toys for the visiting kids to play with. Because you don't know exactly what your kids will get, and there's always that wild card gift that you weren't anticipating, leave some extra space if possible. Making room now will help you not feel overwhelmed by everything coming in when Christmas is over. So to recap, you can limit Christmas gifts this year without feeling like a Grinch. Setting expectations early is key, as well as making sure that you aren't contributing to the excess. Tip number 1 is to limit what you are buying your kids other times of the year, as well as what comes from you and or Santa for Christmas. Tip number 2, observe how your kids play so the toys you do pick spark imagination and creativity. Tip number 3, after you've created a list with your kids, if age appropriate, and have made sure that the things on the list make sense given what they already have and what they actually play with, share the list, including experience gifts with your family as soon as possible. And tip number 4, use the container rule to declutter toys now before the new ones come in. I hope this helps you feel more joyful and less stressed about the holiday season. Remember, you can always find additional support in my decluttering Facebook group. Just go to tinyurl.com/Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. Next week, we'll be talking about how to deal with family guilt and pressure to hold on to things we don't want or need. I'll see you next week. Bye for now. If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact, but 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.